I'm Patrick Bailey with IQlist.com. Today is December 6, 2018, and in this video I'm doing a little walkthrough showing how to design a little puppy paw keychain that I've got going on in Fusion 360, and then I'm going to print it out on my Prusa i3 Mark III 3D printer. We have a neighbor who has a Scotty dog named Scully. My daughter takes Scully out on long walks most days, and she loves this dog. So I had an idea. My idea was to make a puppy paw keychain for Scully's owner. I wanted this keychain to be Scully's actual paw print. You know, maybe shrunk down a bit, but his actual paw print. So I'm going to walk through how I did this using Fusion 360, and maybe you could design your own puppy paw keychain using this video. Okay, when I'm doing projects like this, I always like to write notes in my little notepad, and here's a picture I scanned in from my notepad. So I'm kind of drawing little notes on what I might want for a paw and how it might look. Relatively, how are you going to shape this keychain? What's a good size for the ring? So I was kind of writing some ideas out and observing things around me, and also figuring out a relative size on how this is going to be. So I came up with 35 millimeters by 50 millimeters for the size. Now that's important because how I'm going to do this in Fusion 360 is I'm going to take a picture of the paw, and I'm going to take that picture, and in Fusion 360 you can apply a picture to a surface. Now it won't do anything in a sense because it's 3D, but then you can use it as a template to draw upon and actually make your 3D shapes. So with that, the next thing that I did, well actually I did this prior, before this, I knew I was going to need it, so I took some pictures of his actual paw. And let me see if I can show that. So I have a picture of his paw, and here it is, and I want to use this to put on the image I'm going to put in Fusion 360 so that I can trace it out and make a 3D image. Another thing I did, I had an idea to put on the reverse side of it to put an actual Scotty dog. So I scoured the internet and I found a little picture of a Scotty dog that I can apply to the back. And so with both those pictures, now I'm ready to go. But then there's probably one more step you need to do, which I already prepared. I happen to have Photoshop. So what I did in Photoshop is I took these pictures in, and let's see if I have, there's an example. No, let's see. That'll work. That will work. Because I know what size I want to make this on, I can apply a picture and resize it and do some things to it, but what I decided is I wanted to do it in proportion. So I went to Photoshop and I made a picture that was relatively, it wasn't 35 millimeters by 50 millimeters, but I could have done that, but I think it was 350 pixels by 500 or something like that. So it was in proportion. And then I put this image in there and saved this image off, so it's much more easy to apply to what I'm doing. And I did the same, well, I guess I didn't do the same thing with a Scotty. So I guess we'll see both ways. So now with that, I'm prepared, and now I can go into Fusion 360 and actually start making the 3D image. Okay, let's get going. But before we do, one thing, if you're new to Fusion 360 and 3D printing, one thing I like to always change is the Z-axis. And here you can see over in the right-hand corner, my Z-axis is up. So, and that makes it relative to how we do 3D printing, so that this effectively, what you're seeing right now, is the surface of the 3D print. Otherwise, when you're done, you may have to flip it. So to change that, if you already haven't done that, you can go down here to Preferences, and you see this Default Model Orientation. You want it to be Z up. And if you're not, do that, hit OK. You may have to restart Fusion 360 to capture those changes, or you may not, I'm not quite sure. But with that, now let's get going. So one good idea here is to go here, right-click on here, and make a new component. That's just good behavior. And so here we'll call it a keychain. Now in this case, we're only going to have one component. But it's a good idea to get in good practice. I'm not the best Fusion 360 guy, but this is what most of them suggest. So now that I have this, I can turn the origin on, and so now I can see the XY planes there. I'll choose the bottom one here, right-click on it, and say create a sketch. And so now I'm drawn on this plane. And so what I want to do is I want to draw a square, a rectangle that's 35 millimeters by 50 millimeters. So a simple way to do that, best way to do that is to press S, which will pull up your sketch shortcuts. And yours may be a little different than mine because you can choose to have some stay here. What I want to use is this 2-point rectangle. If you don't see that, you can do a search for rectangle, and you'll see this 2-point rectangle pop up. And if it's something that's not already there, if it's not already up here like it is on mine, but you want to do it, you want to add it to the shortcuts, you can click this, little up arrow button and it'll add it. But it's probably one you want to keep there. So I'll choose that, and I'll click on this base, and I'll start to go over here. And so I can be arbitrary and just make a rectangle here. But also right here, we see it's highlighted in blue. I can actually type in there and designate the length. So in this case, I want it 50 millimeters high. And I'll press Tab, which will go to the next one by 35, hit Enter, and there we go. So now I have my shape, the relative size that I want. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that and press Q, which is my press pull tool, and I'll start to pull it up. Now what I did make a note on here is I wanted to pull it up 5 millimeters, so 5 millimeters is good, and I'll hit OK. And so that's my object, but I'm going to cut away from it. So what I'm going to do now is I'll choose the top, and up here I can do Insert, Attached Canvas. So I'll hit Attach Canvas, and from here I'll go and select that paw right there. Hit Open, and there you go. See, it applies it right to the top. And now with that, I can choose to shrink it a little bit. Maybe that's too big. In fact, I think I did shrink it last time. So let me go 0.8, 0.8. Oh, there you go. I could on X, Y, Z. Okay. Nah, let me reverse that. Let me cancel that. Well, just to let you know that you can, while you're attaching this, if it is the wrong size, you can adjust it. And also you can move it. So I can move where it's going to attach. But I'll just choose the default. We'll leave it 0, 0. Okay, 0, 0, and we'll attach it. So now it's there. And so I can see it. It's not going to effectively 3D print anything, but I can see it there. And so I can use that as a guide. So now I can click on this top plane. Oh, shouldn't have done that. Click on this top plane, right click on the top plane and say create a sketch. So now I'm drawing on this top plane. And then I can zoom in here. And in my case, I'm using the scroll wheel. It's a really nice way to zoom. And I can press and hold the scroll wheel to move around. So now what I'm going to do is I could press S to pull up this tool and pull the line, grab a line tool. Or you also see here if I hover, the line tool is L. That's another quick key you can use. So rather than do that, I'll just press L. And I'll start somewhere. So I'll start here, there. I'll zoom in a little bit more. And I'll just start going bit by bit. And so, this doesn't need to be any great detail because we're 3D printing this. So it can be, we're not too worried about these straight lines and angles. I mean, you could pretty it up if you want to. There's arcs and things like that. But in my case, I found this to be just fine. And then reconnect them at the end. And I should see a shape here. Now I could press Escape here to get out of the line tool. And now I can select that shape. And then I can use that to remove, I can pull it down and remove stuff from this block. But I'm not going to do that quite yet. Let me go back here, and I'm still in sketch mode, so I want to sketch some more. Oh, let me go over there. I want to get the other little paws done. So you press the L key, and we'll get these guys done. Now for anyone curious, there's a great video out there on YouTube. You should probably go find a link to it, where a guy designed the Iron Giant in Fusion 360. And he used a similar technique where he was much more complex. But he was taking images, applying them to surfaces like this, so that he had an easy way to trace things. I mean, he was doing a much more precise job than what I'm doing, but I don't really need all that precision that he probably did. But it's a really cool video to watch, where as he assembled this Iron Giant, it's really cool. Yep. Now see there, I went a little bit too far, so I should be able to do a Control-Z and undo that last line. Hit L again, and kind of restart. Now there's probably a better way to set freeform on this. I'm not a Fusion 360 expert by any means, so there's probably some better ways to do what I'm doing. I just want to show that it can be done pretty easily. Boom, there we go. Now I'm hit escape and make sure that I can actually select all these, because I had one time where I didn't quite line them up all right. There we go. So now I can select them. So what I want to do is I want to pull it, subtract that from this. So I can press Q for push pull, and I can pull it down. I'm going to pull it down 2 millimeters, not quite halfway. And I can also taper the angle. So that's what I did last time. I tapered a little bit. I don't think you need to, but I think I did like a negative 10-degree taper. And it looked okay. Yeah, there you go. So cut, hit OK, and there we go. So I've cut that out. Okay, so now next, I'm going to kind of shape the rest of the keychain. Okay, the rest of the keychain. So let me go here and click on the top and rotate a little bit, because I wanted the keychain to kind of arc up like this. So I'll go up here to the top somewhere, and I will, I'm still in sketch mode, right? Okay, so I hit S, and I'll do search for circle, and I'll do a 2-point circle. I'll just click here, and I want it to be roughly, I think I wrote notes about 8 millimeters, but it's probably big. So let me go 6. Oh, that's a little big too. Let me go 5. Let me go 4. Okay, that looks like we might be okay. And then I'll kind of see where I want to put this. I want to put it, right about there-ish. Okay, so that'll be the keychain part. And then I want to do an arc around it, so I'll do a search for an arc. And I'll do a 3-point arc, so I'll do roughly there, and a little up like that. And now let me move it a little bit. Escape. Let's see if I can move that a little bit. Let me press D for dimension. And so I will do that to there, and see how I want to move a little bit that way. So I'll say 6. Ooh, no, wrong. 4. That's not the right way to do it. So let me do, I want that and that to line. So I can do a line here and do it up. Escape, and then do, escape that, do that should be, oh, that'll work too. I'll just drop it on there. So now, that'll work right about there. No, leave that alone. Okay. So I got that. Now I want to do some more lines. I'm going to do some more arcs around here to kind of have the puppy paws. So I'll come down here, I'll do S, and I'll do a 3-point arc again. And I'll say right about there, and have puppy paw arc come out. Another one right about there. I don't know if I like that one. Yeah, it's probably okay. Right about there. Yeah, I don't like those two. I'm going to remove both of those. When it comes to the arc, I don't have to start where the other one stopped. I can start right there. And right there. Much better. So let me see. Right there. And right there. And right there, and right there. Okay, that's a good start. And then what I can do is I can do press L for the line tool and have a line, click on that dot and go to that dot. And same over here. And so one thing I can do now is I could leave it like that. I think I like that. I could leave it like that. Another choice you could probably do, I think I'll leave those bumps in there, but another thing you could do is if you wanted to kind of smooth this out, if that made sense in your world, what you could do is you could hit escape, and you could click on that line, and do tangent with this, and it cleans it up. That tangent with that, and it cleans it up. But I don't know if I like that look or not. So let me see. So I could say that looks good. They both look good. Well, in fact, I'd probably, let me see. I like that little bump, but I think I want to move you out and move that one. Yeah. I think I like that. I might tweak. I can come back here and tweak it later, but I think I like that. So there is that shape. And so I can go click on the top here, and I want that to be my guiding shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to my bodies, and the only body I have right now is this big rectangle thing. So I can just remove it. So now it's gone, and I can click on this one. Well, yeah, I guess, click on that one. I should have done it that way, huh? I guess there's two ways of doing this, huh? I can leave that body there. I can choose the outside, shift, and choose that circle, and control, not shift, control. Hold on the control key, and choose those two spots. There we go. And then press Q, and I can go all the way down. So I'll say, which is -5 to be exact. Hit enter. Well, actually, a better way to do that. Let's be more precise. A better way to do that in Fusion 360 typically is I would choose that, control, hold down control, choose those two sides. I gotta zoom in there. Press Q for the press pull. Now as you press down, we want it to meet the other side. So I can, rather than just doing it like that, I can say extend to object. And it wants to know what object you want. I'll go down here on the bottom and I'll say that. So now it is extended to the side. Hit OK, and I should have my object. Now the reason you want to do that is because you can actually go in there. Now it's parameterized, so if I wanted to make it taller, it would still do the right cut. For more information on that, you should probably watch some other people's videos who are much better at Fusion 360 than I am, like Lars Christensen out there. Okay, so there we go. We got our puppy paw, and so we're good enough right now, but now it would be nice to go on the bottom side and put our other image on here, which is the puppy, which is the Scotty. So I can click on this, and I can say insert an attached canvas, and now I'll choose that Scotty, and I will rotate him, and I'll shrink him. Let's see. I don't think there's ever any good way to shrink him on this. Is that? Oh, cool. I learned something new. There you go. I could type it in or just do that. So I want that little guy, and he looks pretty good. Right about there. Maybe make him a little bigger. Okay, so now we'll apply him, and now I'll do the same thing. So I'm going to go around line by line and hook him up, and then remove him, and then do a press pull on him too. Okay, you should get the idea by now. So I'll come down here, zoom in, press L for my line tool, and I'll just start working around. Let me rotate him so I can, not that it matters. I will start doing all little details here. And attach it there at the end. And hopefully I should see a nice little Scotty dog. Now I'm afraid I did what I did last time. So if I try to select in here, it's not going to select because I don't think some of them are connecting right. because I just had too many lines. So one way to try to kind of solve for that is to try to figure out where your screw-ups were. So if I press L, I can do a line tool again. I can click somewhere here on there and click on there, and I can see. If I press escape, I can choose that area, and I can choose, that's the only area I can choose. So I messed up somewhere here and somewhere over here. So I'll draw some more lines to kind of see where I screwed up. That looks fine, that looks fine. Something's wrong there. And I can see there's something wrong in this tail. So let me see if I delete that. Oh, yeah, see, look, it's missing an expanse right there. So hopefully that will solve me. Yep, I can choose that part. But I can't choose the head here yet, so there's something wrong here. I can choose that. I can choose that. Just can't. Ah, there we go. Missing a part. There we go. So now I can select all these parts of the dog, of the Scotty. There we go. And then press Q, so I can get my press pull tool. And then, let me see. I want to pull him in, and I'll pull him in 2 millimeters. So he's going to subtract. And again, I think I'll taper them because, I don't know, I just want to. 10, oh, can't do 10. -5? Yeah, okay, maybe I won't. Too complicated. Hit OK. And then now, let's see what I got going on. So now I got that, and Scotty's on the back. And so, there we go. Now, last thing I want to do is to do a fillet. So kind of smooth all the outside edges. So I'll hit S for my tool, and I happen to have my fillet tool up, otherwise you can search for it. Fillet, and so if I do that, I can select all the edges. So there, Control, and just, I'm gonna, in this case, I'm gonna select the top edges. I don't need to fiddle with the paw print. And let's see. Constant radius. So I'll say 5. How big do we want it? Oh, there we are. There's a tool. No, not 11. How about 8? Oh, bad geometry doesn't like that. Okay, stuck for a second. Okay, I have to let this recover. It's probably a good time to save it if it recovers here. Okay, luckily it recovered that, but it's probably a good idea to save. So I saved it. Remember to save. Things happen. But let me go back and fix this. Let me go press S to bring this up. Use the fillet tool, and I'll start to select all these sides. So Control, 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 and grab all the top here. Let me go ungrab and grab that. So the tool's a little easier over here. And then we can see, you can just put it in a little bit. Yeah, that's probably just a tiny bit. 0.5. Yeah, let's do that. Hit OK. Boom. And let me go on up the back side here and do the same thing. Well, on this back side I got a little more room, so maybe I could go a little bit more. Yeah, let me try 1.2. That's a bit much. Well, let's just do 1 on this side, hit OK. And there we go. So now my design's done. let me go convert it to a file that 3D printing will understand. So I'll say, let me save it. Save. Done deal. Okay, so we'll say make a 3D print. We'll select this, and I'll unselect the output because I don't want to go through Meshmaker. I'll hit OK, and I'll go into my 3D prints, and I'll go to my videos, and I'll say paw. Let's see, puppy keychain. Boom. And we'll call it puppy keychain. And this should save an STL file. So now, file saved. Now let me bring up my slicer. In my case, I use, where'd you go? The Prusa control. So open up Prusa control. There we go. And I'll drop the puppy keychain in there. And there we go. So I'll put it right there. And I'll go fast, 0.2 millimeters, standard infill, nothing special about this, and hit generate. This should be a pretty easy one, pretty fast one too. And checking out all the layers. I don't see anything unusual. It's a little bit tight over here, but that's probably going to be okay. And if not, I can go back and change my design. So we'll save the G-code out. And there we go. So now let's go print it out. There's one thing I forgot to do before I do this. What I would like to do is to do this in 2 colors. It's easy enough in the Prusa i3 Mark III to do color changes by layer. So what I'm going to do is I'll put this at fast. I'll generate the layers again. And then what I can do is I can come up here and I can put stop points. So I'm going to stop is where it actually starts to fill in. So I'm going to do all this in white. And then right there where it changes, I'm going to put a marker here. I want to do that in black. And then go up again. It's going to be all black, 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 black. And then right where it stops again, another marker. And then all white. So it's going to be all white, then black, then white, so that you can see the puppy paw. There will be a stripe on the outside, but I think that's okay. So I will save this G-code, and I will say puppy paw, keychain, save it. Okay, now let me get to printing this one out. Okay, so she is done, the little puppy paw. It looks pretty cool. I like it. And I got the little outline of the Scully and the Scotty dog on the back, a little pinhole. The one thing I didn't do, I should have done, is I didn't, I don't remember, doing a fillet on the actual hole here. So what I do have here is I have a deburring tool, and what you can do is kind of got a blade on here, it kind of angles around, and so you can stick it in the hole like this, and you turn around, and it cuts, and so it can kind of do that shape for you. So I did use that. Before I go any further, I always like to go over the numbers on how long it takes to do a print, how much it cost. So this print took 25 minutes. It took 0.04 cents, I think it was 0.004 cents of electricity, so just less than a penny with electricity. And it also weighs, it's so small I couldn't even really weigh it very well, but I think it's 3 milligrams, which at $20 per kilogram roll means this costs 6 cents worth of material. One thing to note though is it took 25 minutes to print because I did switch things out. So I do have those different colors so that I get that nice little, accent there. Another thing I did, I bought this a long time ago. I had been intending to do some keychains at some point. So I remember buying this from, I forget if it was Michael's or somebody I bought it from. So I bought little jewelry, just little keychains. So I got one here. So I'm just going to stick one on here real quick. And then my daughter can give one to the neighbor. So there we go. We got a little keychain. Easy peasy, simple to do. And I don't know if I'm going to put, well, I may or may not put this on Thingiverse because I think the idea is I like to see other people put the idea is to do it yourself, to do your own little thing on Thingiverse. So I may or may not. But anyway, This has been a fun video to do. It's been fun to make this. I think she's going to like it. I know my daughter does. So anyone out there, if you make one yourself, boy, share it on Thingiverse, show it off, and I'll put a link down here somewhere. Anyway, hope this helps someone out there, and if you did it, I hope you had fun. Hey, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, hey, give it a thumbs down. Also, if you like what we were doing here, subscribe to the channel by clicking the subscribe button. And lastly, have a piece of info to share? Just post a comment.